short. Maybe I'll move the picture around a little bit more, because that's what you got to do when you're drawing. Is you move the pad around so you can hit different angles. To all of you out there that aren't artistes, you know, you'd move the pad around. That's how you get to different angles. Anyway, yeah, that's just an idea. That'd be cool. I'd be down with that. Get some thicker lines on these guys. Yep, you know, a lot of good old sci-fi out there. I was watching something on YouTube once about all the sci-fi movies that, you know, and shows that were canceled before their time. You know, Firefly, Star Trek Enterprise, I believe, didn't get a fair shake. They want to bring it back now or something. I don't know what they're thinking. Enough with the new Star Trek. Enough. It's already dead. You know, the kid on The Simpsons. That's just my opinion, though. Some people like that new Trek, and that's fine if you like it. I don't. I think it's kind of garbage. Most of it. I didn't like Discovery. Picard was okay. Like I said, it wasn't as bad as everybody made it out to be, but it wasn't really Star Trek, you know. The third season was, but it was like the 8th season of Next Gen, really. Lower Decks, it was like a you know, Lower Decks was good, but only because it was funny and had a lot of Easter eggs. It was like a Star Trek cartoon somebody made that a fan made, you know. It was full of references, full of all that kind of stuff. That's okay, but I mean, that's what it was. Funny. Funny. Yep, so that would be cool. I have an idea for a Star Trek thing. It's funny because, for as big of a Star Trek nerd as I am, my idea for Star Trek, my Star Trek story, has absolutely no Star Trek in it. Has absolutely none. I will tell you what it is. So, if you know your Star Trek, there's Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, right? The whale one. The crew of the Enterprise have to go back in time to, at that point, current day 1987, Earth, San Francisco, California, to locate humpback whales that were driven into extinction in that universe's 21st century. The whale probe, a highly advanced alien probe from unknown origins, huge, pretty much invincible, and able to to put out a energy signal so violent that it was destroying the world, unintentionally, but still doing it. And they had no idea how to answer it. And even though their best computers couldn't figure out that it was whales singing, that's what it was. So Captain Kirk and the crew had to go back to 1987. Oh yeah, spoilers. I'm sorry for a 40-year-old movie. But they had to go back to 1987 to hopefully find some whales. And instead of getting them out in the wild, they find them in captivity at the San Francisco Aquarium. And that's where the movie begins. Okay? Here's my story. Now, if you know the movie, you know that throughout the course of the movie, the different groups, because they split up, it's like Uhura and Chekhov, Scotty and Bones, Kirk and Spock, yeah, and Sulu's on his own. So, they all go and interact with people, excuse me, of the 20th century, and do a lot of crazy cowboy diplomacy, as they call it, in the Star Trek universe. But basically broke their cover several different times. So here's how my story goes. It's a couple weeks after the crew left and got the whales, and the whale lady went with them. So she's now missing in her time, right? She's missing. Well, anyway, there's this local dive bar in the Mission District where people go to decompress, to do whatever. It's like Cheers, kind of. It's got, I was a bartender, so this is why I made this up. And it has a lot of different people that go there. And some of the people include, drum roll please, the waiter from the restaurant where they openly talked about no money in the 23rd century and that he works from space and yada yada. the two trash men that saw the cloaked Klingon bird of prey land, make a huge indentation in the ground, and crush the trash cans they were picking up. A couple nurses from the doctor's office that watched them put a little doodad on Chekhov's head and cure him when they were about to drill holes in his head to maybe save his life. And they watched him zap the door handle, the door lock, with a ray gun. They watched Chekhov and all them get up and leave. And what looked like the whale lady who's missing was with them. Other people at the bar start coming in and saying their weird part of the story. Yeah, I work at that hospital, or no, my cousin works at that hospital. He's a security guard that let you guys out of that locked room and chased those people down, saw them get in the elevator, ran down to the bottom, and the elevator was empty. That's so weird. They start talking about just all these different coincidences that happened. You know, the trashmen were talking about that stuff. You know, the nurses, about Chekhov and all that. All that stuff. Then, the black dude, the helicopter pilot that met Sulu, said they found that lady's truck at the park, at the Golden Gate Park, where those trashmen were like, yeah, that's where the thing that we saw happened. Alright, so we're linking all these people together. The nurses are talking about stuff when the glass guy comes in and says, yeah, your chopper came to my glass company to get that glass that they ordered, that they traded me this, he didn't say whatever, but they said they paid it with, you know, something very valuable. All these things are coming together, all these people, obviously it needs more refining, this is just a spitball, but all these things are coming together when the military guy from the Enterprise, you know, the shoot me, Pavel Chekhov, United Federation of Planets, you know, comes in and says, this is a top secret thing, you're all coming with me, debriefs them, because you see, these people all have varying levels of a weird radiation from the future that the government is honing in on, from being around technology from the future and being around those people from the future. And the government tracks down a huge signal to this bar. They debrief everybody, and basically the story stops. Now it needs more refining, it needs you know, a little more tweaking, but that's the gist of the story, is all the people that were directly and indirectly interacting with the crew of the Enterprise, talking about their weird situations that got into because of them. Yep, and that's it. That's my contribution to fan Trek. Which is funny because, like, I could write some really good Star Trek. I'm a Star Trek nerd. I really am. And I could write some good present-day Star Trek. But what I feel like the best story of the old Trek, at least, because if I was going to write Trek, it'd be for newer, you know, like next-gen DS9 style, is something from the old Trek movies. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. But that's what mine would be. It would be just a bunch of people sitting in a bar talking about all this weird stuff that had happened and how they was linking them together just so the government could come and break it up. Break it up. Yeah, tell me what you think. That'd be a cool story. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, I went and helped out, I guess, yesterday at the town I was in. The university had this, like, day for old people. It was a Help Old People Use Technology Day. So if you knew somebody that needed help, an older person that needed help setting up a TV or something, you could help them out if you were younger. And I did that and didn't even know that's what it was. I told a buddy of mine at the place I work, hey, I'm going to go help out my other buddy, an older guy, set up his TV. I'm sorry, set up his Xbox to his TV. And my buddy's like, haha, that's funny because it's like the school has this thing to, you know, help old timers day or something. I just thought that was a weird coincidence. Yeah, crazy stuff. I see that, you know, I wouldn't mind having a lot of money like the next person. I'm an American. And I see all these people that have gotten rich off of doing just the dumbest stuff, you know, like that Somali guy. Johnny Somali or that Vitali. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, are you guys that stupid that you went to another country and were totally acting a fool? And now you're in deep doo-doo? I mean, that Vitali guy, he's screwed. You're in the Philippines, my guy. You're going to be rotting in that thing for, rotting in that freaking jail cell for the next 10 years before you're even in court. It's like, out of all the countries you go to F around, you go to these no-nonsense Southeast Asian countries where they don't put up with shit. You know? Like, oh my God. And it's like, have you seen those Filipino jails, man? You wouldn't want to go there. You would not want to go there. Believe me. But that's where he decided to go. Put my little son with his little goofy eyes. Yeah, that's where they decided to go to mess around, is, these countries that don't put up with nothing. It's just amazing to me. I don't know. And then they whine about it. Like that Somali guy, he's screwed. The kind of stuff he was doing was like big time get you in trouble over there. And a lot of the disrespect too, just to monuments and to all these other, it's just pretty lame. And it gives all the rest of us a bad name. So they're just like, oh, here comes another loud, stupid, drunk, asshole American, to be all that stuff I just said. Makes me mad. Supposed to respect cultures when you go anywhere. There was an old saying, would you do that at your grandma's house? Then why are you doing it here? And that's a very true statement. Would you do that at your grandma's? Then don't do it here. But yeah, just think of that. Think of that. Nobody wants to go to jail to begin with. But imagine being in jail. Imagine this is the room. This is your cell. Say it's 20 feet wide by 60 feet long, right? And there's 220 guys in there. Think of that. Just think of that. And think of that whole place being hell on earth, and then you have to find the worst spot in this place because you're the new guy and a foreigner. Shit, that's not my thing. It's like, oh my God. Not good. Not good. Oh yeah, I said I can move this around. So just imagine that, man. That would be horrible. That would be totally horrible. And then you got to go find, I've watched a couple of these documentaries on jails in the Philippines. And it's horrible, man. You do not want to go there. I would take the public ass kicking by a bunch of people, then spend, he's already, and the Vitali guy allegedly did steroids and stuff, and he was all huge, and they took a picture of him just like a few weeks later or a few months later after being in that jail for a while, and he wasn't so huge anymore. He was already scrawny and stuff. You gotta, when you do that kind of stuff, if you do, allegedly, of course, you gotta kind of stay on it. You can't take breaks. Trying to figure out how I want to make the mouth. His little smile, right? Make him a happy son. He's a happy son. Make a little Elon Musk thingy right here. But yeah, so these people that do that, I don't know what they're smoking or what they think. What did you think was going to happen when you went to another country and threatened old ladies and, that Vitali guy, he took a cop's gun or a security guard. Anyway, sliced it. He took an authority figure's gun and ran around with it. He hijacked a bike. He oh my God, he was just a total nuisance. And it's he's not even an American. So it's wow. I feel like these people come to America, and they become a hyper version of an American, far more than any actual American. And they go over and do all this crazy stuff thinking they're going to get out of it. The Vitali guy was begging Russia to help him. He was begging all these, America. And it's just nope. No one's going to help you, bro. Not for that. Not for that kind of thing. You know, that Vitali guy he was like wearing a Make America Great Again thing or something to get Trump to help. It's just like, what the fuck? What are you thinking? No one's gonna help you, dude. Not for that, like I said. You know, it's one thing when you've been taken hostage by like some cartel or some shit, you know, it's another thing when you're acting a fool and get busted and that country is gonna exact their their laws on you. That's totally different. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think a lot of people just think the whole world is a playground for them. And it's like, it's not, dude. The world is not a playground. Anyway, sucks to be them. You know, so if you've ever been out there before and been like, oh, jealous of Johnny Salami and all the money he's got, or Vitali, don't you worry, because either one of them would trade to be your broke ass or my broke ass in a heartbeat right now. Because at least my broke ass is sitting at home in my nice warm house watching Star Trek, drawing this picture for you fine people on the internet today. Will it make me zillions of dollars like Salami and Vitali? Probably not. Can I make a living off of it? If I try hard enough, I probably can. So that's what I'm doing. And I implore other people, and you know, don't do what Salami did. That's all I'm saying. Long story short, some of these pins are getting rough. But yeah, it's just amazing. And then when they get out, it's like, what are you gonna do when you get out? Part of your condition to get out is probably gonna be no internet, you know? Always is with these people when they get in issues and stuff, you know? So it's like, if what you did to make money and get, you know, to get clout was act a fool on the internet, and that's all you have, you're not an artist or a sports person or a musician, all you had was acting a fool, pissing people off on the internet. Or like that one kid that just got busted. What's that one asshole nobody likes? Jack Doherty, whatever. Yeah, he's on his way to somewhere not good. Same thing, acting a fool. And that guy's a special kind of ass.